In Mississippi, 10-year-old Tanya Haley was viciously brutalized by two white racists, Pete Willard and Billy Ray Cobb. Carl Lee Haley, Tanya's father, avenges his daughter's brutal rape by shooting the men responsible. Carl Lee gets Jake Brigance to be his lawyer. Jake doesn't think they will win because of the town they are in, but Carl Lee has faith in him. They both go through tough obstacles during the trial that test them. Activist Medgar Evers is murdered in 1963 and the evidence points towards Byron Beckwith. After two trials, Beckwith is acquitted. Decades later, in 1989, Evers' widow, Mira Lee, thinks she has evidence to convict Beckwith. Only one lawyer will touch the case, Bobby DeLauder. He faces a lot of obstacles trying to work the case, but pushes through to convict Beckwith. Racial inequality is a theme throughout the whole film of A Time to Kill. You see this through settings and characters. Also throughout this film, it's decided whether a black man should ever be allowed to kill a white man. If Carl Lee was white, he wouldn't be charged. Mira Lee Evers is the epitome of perseverance. She stayed true to her husband and strove to find justice for him. Theme is the basis of the entire film, the reopening of a case of a white man killing a black man in Mississippi 25 years later to get justice for the man that was killed. A Time to Kill represents 1960s civil rights through racial injustice, hatred that stems from racism in the South, KKK members, and segregation. Ghost of Mississippi represents 1960s civil rights movements because it depicts the horrid cruelty of injustice, represents how during the 1960s blacks and whites were still segregated and how African Americans still faced injustice. There were many events that occurred in the 1960s due to civil rights. Some of the most common and very important ones were the Washington March, led by Martin Luther King, who led more than 250,000 people, where he gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. In 1964, President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act to outlaw segregation and Jim Crow laws of the South. In the 1960s, students from across the country came together to form the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and organized sit-ins throughout the South. Because Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the bus in 1955, it sparked many protests that began in the 1960s. The first Selma March, organized by John Lewis, was held on March 7, 1965, to highlight voting issues.